Leo, a boy of no more than 7, with a mop of unruly blonde hair and eyes the color of a summer sky, stared at the space under his bed. His fortress of solitude, his pirate ship, his race car cockpit. By day, it was a world of imagination. But by night, it transformed. By night, it was a cavern, a dark mouth that seemed to breathe with the house's old groans. His older brother Sam scoffed from the doorway, leaning against the frame with the casual arrogance of a 10-year-old. Still scared of the dark, Leo? There's nothing under there. It's just dust bunnies and maybe a lost sock. No, Leo whispered, his voice trembling as he hugged his stuffed bear, Barnaby, tighter. There are shadows. They move. Sam rolled his eyes. Shadows move because you move, dummy. It's called science. He pushed off the doorframe and strode into the room. Look, I'll prove it to you. For the last time. With a dramatic sigh, Sam dropped to his knees. He grabbed the small flashlight from Leo's nightstand, its beam cutting a weak circle in the dim room. See? Nothing to be afraid of. He swept the light back and forth under the bed. The beam illuminated a forgotten toy car, a few stray crayons, and yes, a collection of dust bunnies that looked like tiny gray tumbleweeds. Just junk. Now go to sleep. Sam started to get up, but Leo's small hand shot out and grabbed his arm. Wait, Leo pleaded, his eyes wide. Look again. In the corner. By the wall. Leo, I'm tired of this game. But Sam saw the genuine terror in his little brother's face. It wasn't the usual bedtime theatrics. This was different. With another heavy sigh, he lowered himself again and pointed the flashlight toward the back corner, deep under the bed frame where the wall met the floor. At first, it was just darkness. A deeper, more solid patch of black that the flashlight's weak beam struggled to penetrate. It's just a shadow, Leo. See? The bedpost is blocking the light. No, Leo said, his voice barely a breath. Watch. Sam kept the light steady. He was about to declare victory and retreat to his own monster-free room when he saw it. A flicker, not from his hand, which was perfectly still. It was a movement within the shadow itself. It was subtle, like a heat haze shimmering off summer asphalt. He squinted, leaning closer, the wooden floorboards cold against his knees. The shadow wasn't flat. It had depth. It seemed to congeal. The edges, which should have been soft and blurry, sharpened into distinct yet shifting shapes. They weren't just shadows. They were the shadows. And they were looking back. Sam's breath hitched. Within the inky blackness, 2 points of an even deeper blackness formed. They weren't eyes in a traditional sense. They had no whites, no irises. They were voids, holes in reality that seemed to drink the light from his flashlight, leaving nothing. And they were fixed on him. He felt a cold dread creep up his spine, a primal fear that had nothing to do with childish boogeymen. This was real. He could feel its malevolence, a silent, ancient hunger radiating from under the bed. The air grew heavy, thick with an unspoken threat. Sam? Leo's voice was a tiny anchor in a sea of growing panic. Sam couldn't answer. He was frozen, mesmerized by the unblinking voids. He saw the shadow ripple again, not just flickering, but gathering itself. It was pulling itself together, becoming more solid, more defined. It was no longer just a patch of darkness. It was a thing made of darkness. He wanted to pull back, to scream, to run. But he couldn't move. His body refused to obey. The flashlight trembled in his hand, the beam dancing wildly, illuminating the impossible. The shadow began to extend, a tendril of pure night uncoiling from the main mass. It crept slowly, deliberately, across the floorboards towards him. It didn't slide over the dust bunnies. It absorbed them, making them vanish without a trace. The tendril was just inches from his knee. He could feel a palpable cold radiating from it, a cold that had nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with absence. It was the cold of a tomb, the cold of empty space. A strangled gasp finally escaped his lips. The sound seemed to break the spell. With a surge of adrenaline, Sam scrambled backward, crab-walking away from the bed so fast he banged his head against the wall. He dropped the flashlight, which rolled under the dresser, plunging the room into near-total darkness, save for the sliver of light from the hallway. He didn't need the light to know it was still there. He could feel it. The entire space under the bed now felt like a gaping wound in the room, a portal to somewhere awful. He looked at Leo, who was sitting bolt upright in bed, clutching Barnaby the bear, tears streaming silently down his face. He hadn't been imagining it. He hadn't been trying to get attention. He had been trying to warn him. "Sam," Leo whimpered. Without a word, Sam lunged for the door, grabbed Leo's hand, and pulled him out of the room. He slammed the door shut, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He fumbled with the old-fashioned key in the lock, his hands shaking so badly it took him 3 tries to turn it. The click of the lock was the loudest sound he had ever heard. They stood in the hallway, panting, staring at the closed door. From inside the room, a soft, scraping sound began. The sound of something dragging itself across the wooden floor. The sound of something testing the limits of its new space. "What was that?" Leo whispered, his face buried in Sam's shirt. Sam looked down the hallway toward their parents' bedroom. How could he explain this? How could he tell them that the shadows in Leo's room were alive? They'd call him a liar. They'd say he was just as bad as Leo trying to get out of bedtime. But he knew what he saw. And he knew they couldn't stay in that house. The scraping stopped. A new sound replaced it. A soft, rhythmic thump, thump, thump against the inside of the door. It was testing the boundary. It knew they were out there, and it was waiting. Sam tightened his grip on Leo's hand. "We need to get out of here," he said, his voice low and urgent. "Now." They didn't pack a thing. They didn't stop to put on shoes. They just ran, down the stairs and out the front door, into the cool, dark night, leaving the house and its living shadows behind them. They never looked back. But even as they ran, Sam could have sworn he heard, carried on the wind, the faint sound of a bedroom door lock clicking open. The shadows were free. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to us. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe and always check under the bed.